Hello and welcome back to Overbooked. I'm Amanda and today we're going to be doing a book review on the book Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Know My Name is Chanel Miller's memoir. She is the sexual assault victim from the Sanford rape case involving Brock Turner, and for the longest time she's been known as Emily Doe. She decided to break her silence and reveal her identity last year by releasing this book and telling her side of the story. Before I get too far into this book review, I just want to say trigger warning for details of sexual assault are throughout this book. I remember this case happening back in 2015, and I don't have a lot of strong memories. I myself was also in college, but at the time I was going into, I think, my junior and senior year by the whole time the case was happening, and I wasn't paying as much attention as I wish I would have. From the things that I read and I consumed about this case, I definitely know that I thought it was horrific of what happened to Emily Doe and how the case was being perceived. I remember reading how Brock Turner had only received 6 months in prison, and then that obviously got cut down to 3 months, and I remember being so appalled because that just is just so wrong and not right, that somebody who goes through this experience and is affected for the rest of her life, the person who committed this crime against her is only punished so little because of the judge reasons of just he has so much life ahead of him and he's a young man, no criminal history background, and it was just so obnoxious and obscene to me that that's what he got. But I also think that it wasn't like I was shocked or surprised. Just kind of like in the Christine Blasey Ford case against Brett Kavanaugh, not surprised that he's on the Supreme Court. I'm not surprised when victims don't succeed, and I think that's something that just needs to change. And I hope that we're coming to that time where victims are believed, but in all honesty, I think that if something happened to me personally, I would instantly have doubts of being believed. I just want to say that I absolutely loved this book. It's only March. I want to say that this is probably going to be one of my favorite books of 2020. It's definitely going to be one of my top 5 nonfiction books for sure. It's so incredible. Chanel Miller is such an incredible writer. She comes from a history of writers. Her mother's a writer. She is so gifted, and it's the story is so expertly crafted. Every word means something. Every word has a meaning. It packs a punch. There's no page that's wasted. I never was oh, I'm bored here, or I don't really know if she needed to talk about this, or it's just every single story has an impact, and she's so smart about it too, where she relates instances that are happening now to a memory that she has in the past, and it's all so well connected, and it was just a beautiful is not the right word, but her writing is so beautiful. Her writing is just incredible, and for that reason alone, this book is just amazing. I kind of talked about before in this little intro, this story I think was just so incredibly important to read and hear about, especially during this time. I think we're getting into an era of Me Too, an era where victims are not afraid to come and talk. She talks about Christine Blasey Ford, she talks about Anita Hill, she talks about the Larry Nassar victims all coming forward and saying, this is who I am, this is what you did to me. And she wanted to also express all of her feelings, and her story is incredibly important. And it's so just important in the reasoning where there's no excuse for touching a woman or sexually assaulting a woman or doing anything without her consent. Chanel gets blamed for a lot of things, like she was drunk. What did she think was going to happen when she went to, you know, a fraternity? Or why was she there in the first place? She's not even in college. Like, she talked about, like, she was on the call with her boyfriend and she left him a voicemail saying that she wanted to, like, insinuating that she wanted something sexual. So she was already in the mood. Like, all these things that were against her, where it's like, this was a woman who was clearly drunk and not able to respond. And that's not an opportunity for anybody to take it upon themselves to assault somebody. And she says this explicitly throughout the book, that this is not an excuse. And all these little detailed questions they were asking, well, like, what was the brand of alcohol you were drinking? Tell me, like, how many ounces did you have of the drink? Like, just all these mundane questions that mean nothing to, you know, the overall story. And she just really lays it out, like, these questions are really asked. I think it's like a mantra that I have where I'm like, yeah, like, it doesn't matter what she's wearing. And it doesn't really get through your head because it doesn't happen to you. Like, it happens to so many women, but until it really happens to you, or you hear this story from somebody that you know and who has been affected by it, it's like, doesn't really hit home. And when I was reading this book, I was like, this is real. This is incredibly real. And so just crazy. Another really eye-opening thing, and another thing reason why I thought this story was really important, and I'm really glad that she wrote her story, was the such, like, injustice of the criminal justice system. I think it was very eye-opening to see, like, how not only is she affected by this assault that has happened, but how she is affected by just the general nature of how this case is being dragged out. Her life is literally upended. She has to quit her job. Like, she has to make sure she's available at any time. Dates get canceled out of the blue day of, and her whole, like, life turns upside down just trying to accommodate this case. And it's just crazy to me how, at what lengths, you know, people, like, victims have to go to receive justice. And she has a little passage in here where she talks about how she's one of, I don't know if she exactly phrases it like this, but, like, she's one of the lucky ones. She's the one who made it to the top of the mountain, and all these survivors at the bottom are asking her what it's like, you know, you actually got to the top, because a lot of survivors don't even get their day in court. You know, a lot of people, some of them are not even believed. Some of them, there's not enough evidence or reasoning enough to go to court. And so she's one of the few that, you know, made it all the way, and she got this guilty verdict, and they're like, tell us, like, what is it like up there? Like, tell us. And she's like, and I felt like it's still as disappointing. It's like, I climbed all this way, and it's still, like, just not as satisfactory as I thought it was going to be. And I just thought that was incredibly powerful. Such an eye-opening thing for me on how the criminal justice system is just broken, in the fact that there's not a lot of considerations taken into, you know, our victims. Going off of that, I would like to, like, just going off of that, like, you know, that passage that I was trying to refer to, there are so many powerful passages in this book, and I wish that I was one of those people who, like, tabbed her book, because there are so many instances where I was like, wow, this is so resonating, and I wanted to tab them, but I just don't do that, and I don't have tabs, and it's a library book, so I couldn't, like, underline it. So I don't really have anything to recite for you, but when you're going through this book, I think you'll see, like, there's just so many, like, not only is the entire book impactful, obviously, like I've said a million times by now, but there are so many, like, just punches throughout where you're like, wow, this is incredible, and this is, like, there's so many things happening in just these, like, 3 sentences. So that was just, like, another incredible thing about this book. If you, I highly recommend reading this book if you haven't already. Know My Name by Chanel Miller. And honestly, if you don't even read the book, I highly suggest that you at least read her victim impact statement that was published on BuzzFeed. And she wrote it after Brock received his sentence. And it is honestly the most powerful thing. I honestly started tearing up. I'm kind of tearing up just thinking about it now. It's really, really powerful, and it speaks volumes. So if anything, if you can't find time to read this book, which I think you should, I think everybody should read this book, female, male, everybody, anybody in between, everyone should read this book. But if you just can't for some reason, I highly suggest just reading her victim impact statement, and it's incredible. It's just incredible. Know My Name by Chanel Miller was such an amazing book. I am like so regretful that I didn't take the time to read it last year, and when I started reading this, I was like, I can't believe I waited this long to read this book, and I will be raving about this book probably for a long, long time, and I will be trying to get everyone around me to read it. So if you know me and you're friends with me or you're my family member and you're watching this right now, you may be getting a copy of Know My Name for a gift or something, because I want everyone to read this book. I think it's incredibly powerful and important, and I am so thankful for Chanel and her bravery and her inspiration and her sacrifice, just like writing this book and taking the time to share her story with all of us, because it really does mean a lot when people share their story. And she shows that she is much more than Brock Turner, sexual assault victim. She is Chanel Miller. She is this incredible, powerful woman, and I am just so grateful that she did all of this for everyone out there. So please, if you haven't already, check out Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I highly suggest it. 5 stars. You won't regret it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.